Okay. Good afternoon, and you're Sarah Murphy.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Good. My name is Michael Lau. I am a student here working at Argosy University, and just for the rest of this session here, I'll be recording you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And I believe you were given the outlines and all the information on HIPAA. What you say and what goes on in this session here is just between you and me. And I just want you to know that there are a few cases where all of your confidential information I will have to report because I'm a mandated reporter. So things like um, willingness to harm other people or um, suicidal ideation, those are things where I would be forced to kind of intervene here. Also, in extreme circumstances where there'd be like a court subpoena, I would have to hand over the notes and documents from our sessions for those as well. And like threatening the life of the President of the United States, that's one too. So those are examples of points when I would have to breach confidentiality. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, do you mind if I call you Sarah? Do you go by?
Yeah, you can call me Sarah.
Okay. So what seems to be the problem here today?
Um, Lately I've been having difficulty concentrating. I kind of feel like I'm waking up in the mornings and just dreading the day and just having trouble going through, I don't know, the daily routine of everything, of work and school.
Okay. So what kinds of things are you dreading specifically?
Um, well, right now I'm about to be married in 2 months, so I have a lot of things on my plate. I'm going to school full time and I'm working full time. And I just hate having to get up in the morning. I don't want to go to sleep at night because I know what the next day has in store for me, and I just really don't want anything to do with it.
Okay. So what kinds of things do you dread about the next day?
As far as school goes, I'm constantly worrying about my presentations in front of the class and how I'll perform and how others will perceive me and how well I'll do and if I'm going to get a good grade or if I'm going to fail. And if I get a bad grade, then I'm just going to fail school or fail the class and have to drop out of school. For work, I just constantly am worrying about if I'm doing everything that I can to be the best at my job and at my position. I'm just constantly worrying, and it's just really overwhelming.
All right. And this dread and this worry does. Could you tell me more about what that feels like?
Um, Lately, my mind is just racing. I'm having difficulty making decisions. I can't really sleep at night. I constantly feel tense. My stomach, I'm having issues eating. And I just really have a hard time when I'm interacting in my relationships that I'm having a hard time focusing on what other people are saying.
Okay. So would you these other people that you're interacting with when you're having a hard time focusing, do they pick up on that? Have they mentioned it?
A few times my supervisors have mentioned that I kind of look like I'm checked out. They tell me that I kind of get this glossy look on my face, and they can tell the moment that I either am not paying attention, but I'm paying attention, but I'm worrying about things that I have to do after that. And yeah, my fiance's mentioned it to me before as well, that it looks like I'm just not there when he's talking to me.
Okay. And do you feel like this has affected your relationship with your fiance? Has he had any complaints?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We don't really spend as much time together anymore because I feel like I'm always trying to catch up with something that I didn't do from the day before because I'm just too busy worrying about things. Our love life isn't quite what it used to be, or I guess what it could be. So there's been some complaints in that area. And as far as work goes, I don't feel like I'm meeting all my expectations that others have for me.
Okay. these other people's, what would they say about you meeting their expectations?
I would say that they know that I'm competent, but I'm not living up to my potential right now. I would say that that's probably the biggest complaint from my supervisors.
Okay. So you said that you have periods of worry, anxiousness, and dread, and your heart will begin to race, and you haven't really felt like you've been eating properly, and that these things also have affected your relationships at work and at school and also with your fiance.
Right.
Okay. Just to make sure I have everything right. So, how long ago would you say, when did this first start happening or start getting worse, I guess?
It's gotten worse within the past 6 months. I've always been a worrier. I've always been anxious. I've always been a planner. But in the past 6 months, it's gotten pretty unbearable to a point that I don't feel like I'm living up to my expectations and my responsibilities with all these different roles I have. And I just am so consumed with what's going on in my head that I'm just not able to function at the level I want and need to function at.
Okay. So, is there something that you could identify or that you would say precipitated the event 6 months ago?
Well, my fiance proposed 6 months ago. Okay. And so I have the stress of trying to plan a wedding. And then I guess I have concerns about whether I want to be married. I think about my parents and how they got married young and then they divorced. And I feel like that was possibly a trigger for me. And it's just kind of been out of control ever since.
All right. And so 6 months ago, your fiance proposed to you, and then this anxiety and this worry has recently been getting more intense since then. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right. And how are things going with your fiance currently? You said that he sees that you seem kind of checked out or unfocused, and there were some complaints about your love life. Could you describe your feelings in your relationship with him right
now? My fiance and I were best friends. We've known each other for 10 years. We've been really close. But lately I feel if I express my concerns about marriage, and about all the other difficulties I'm experiencing, I feel like he'll pull away from me. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want him to leave me or to not want to be married to me. And I feel like if I express my concerns that he will think that I'm doubting our relationship altogether and won't want to move forward with this.
Okay. So you feel like you can't really express your concerns with him and you're afraid, given that, well, with your parents' divorce, that the same thing might happen with you.
Yes.
All right. Can you tell me about your family history here? Is there any family history of anxiousness or worry, anxiety?
My mother was diagnosed with depression when I was a young child, and she struggled with it on and off my whole life. And she was also always a worrier, and she's pretty anxious as well. My brother has OCD, and so there's a lot of like anxiety issues within the family. And I think when we all get together, we kind of that energy we feed off of that anxious energy, and it seems to only make it worse.
Okay. That would be a lot to have to experience every time you see family. Do you have any contact with your father?
My parents are divorced, and they divorced when I was about 14. He and I don't speak regularly at all, maybe once a year.
Okay. Is there any mental health history on his side of the family that you're aware of?
He was an alcoholic, and his father was an alcoholic. And I have another brother, a younger brother and an older brother, and my younger brother struggles with alcohol as well.
Okay. So, is he currently in treatment?
He was in treatment, but he actually quit. He's only 18 and doesn't feel like he needs the help. And so right now he's just kind of living with friends and bouncing from house to house.
Okay. I'm just kind of getting a feel for your family dynamics here. I know that wasn't one of the list of your stressors for your anxiety and your current problems with worry and dread. Do you feel like your family dynamics plays a role in that now that you think about it, or not?
Now that you pointed out, I think that they absolutely contribute to like my overall level of anxiety. I think for the most part, I try not to think about it. So I just, on a day-to-day basis, don't think that that's an issue. But now that you kind of pointed that out, I realize that I probably am worrying about them, even when I think I'm not.
Yep.
They're always in the back of my head.
Okay. Just things to kind of keep a look at and to think about. Would you say that your worry or dread ever makes you depressed or makes you feel unsafe, anything like that?
It makes me feel depressed in the sense that I feel like I'll never have control over it and that I'll always live like this and just that my quality of life will be pretty poor because I can't really enjoy a lot of leisure activities because I'm constantly thinking about something and my mind is racing. So I would definitely say that I have feelings of depression.
Okay. And with these feelings of depression, would you say, well, how would you describe that?
I would just say there's a lack of motivation. I just don't really want to, accomplish everything that I need to get done. I'm just not really interested in hanging out with friends or just doing a lot of the same activities that I used to find joy in. Just kind of an overall loss of interest in a lot of areas of my life.
Okay. So much of your time has been spent lately worrying about your classes not failing and then worrying about planning a wedding.
Right.
And still trying to keep up with your expectations at work. I can see how that wouldn't leave too much time for activities for yourself to be with friends and as well. So with feelings of worry or feelings of depression, does that also, do you ever feel like harming yourself?
I don't ever think of like killing myself, but I kind of have like thoughts sometimes like if I were to die that would be okay. Like if I were to get in a car crash, then I would be okay with that. I don't have any plans on like driving my car into another car, but I would be okay with dying.
Okay. So how often would you say you feel like this? That are these thoughts kind of happen?
I would say I have these thoughts at least once a week, but I would say at the most probably 3 times a week.
Okay, at least once a week, upwards of 3 times a week. And for how long here?
I would say these thoughts had been prevalent for about probably the past 6 months.
Okay. And you said before that you didn't really have a plan or anything, or that's what it sounds like. So, do you have a plan? Would you have a plan to kill yourself? What are your thoughts on suicide, actually?
I don't think I would ever kill myself, but I mean I've had passing thoughts like if I were to do it, how would I do it? And I've come up with a couple ways of doing it. I mean I would probably just take some pills or something, but I don't think I would do that, at least not right now.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to come up with a safety plan with you because these feelings and thoughts of suicide seem to be pretty frequent and they seem to be sort of increasing in intensity. Before it sounds like there's a timeline here where they were sort of fleeting thoughts, but now you're kind of more thinking how you would do it if it were to come to that.
Okay.
So what I'd like to set up is a safety plan. What I would like you to do is give me some people that you could go to for help. if these thoughts ever come up, or if you're feeling extra worried or depressed, or just that dread is nagging at you.
I would contact my mother. She's somebody I can always go to, and I have a best friend that I've grown up with that she would be somebody that I could reach out to if I ever felt unsafe or if I ever had these thoughts that just kind of weren't going away.
Okay. And it sounds like between those two, you'll have somebody to go to. Also, I want you to know that our offices here are available too for you, so you can call in if you need it.
Okay, that's good to know. That makes me feel better.
What kind of positives? I know we've focused on a lot of negative things here. What kind of positive things do you have in your life?
Right now I don't feel like there are a lot of positive things. I mean, I guess in the scheme of things, like getting married is positive, and having a job and having the opportunity to be in school, all those things are positive, but they don't feel very positive right now.
Okay. Well, what I'd like to do here is work with you again pretty soon. Our session's coming to an end, and we have set up at least a couple of people for you to go to between now and our next session, but I would like to see you again, let's say some other time this week, as soon as maybe tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I think we could figure that out.
Okay, could you be safe until then?
Yes.
All right. And of course, you can call us at any time, and we'll set up an appointment with you sometime this week.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
you.